Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Pending. So we've had a series of very, very, very concerning events, and that's what prompted us to file the motion that we filed with the court.
So there's the waterfront from Jared Beck. Again, he is the counsel for the plaintiffs in the DNC fraud lawsuit. And I want to go back to the Debbie Wasserman Schultz thing for a second, because this is key. One, it's, if I recall correctly, they tried to call your office and pretend it wasn't them. Is that accurate?
Well, we don't know who or what was behind the call. What we do know is that one of our employees received a call, and the caller ID showed up upon further investigation. It was linked to Debbie Wasserman Schultz's office in Aventura, but the caller was using some type of voice recognition or voice masking technology to disguise the voice. So it sounded very, very robotic to our employee and very, very concerning. And they were asking a whole series of questions about the DNC fraud lawsuit. And so we immediately brought that to the court's attention. And this was even before we filed the motion for protection with the court.
And Debbie Wasserman Schultz has been up to some other shenanigans as well. She's been threatening people that have been looking into the Seth Rich murder, threatening people that are doing the investigation into the DNC lawsuit, then the strange phone call that you had. And then yesterday, or I think it was Wednesday, she came out and accused James Comey and Jay Johnson of perjury. Huge accusation coming from Debbie Wasserman Schultz. See, she seems to be losing it right now. She might be a weak link in the entire facade that I think is being orchestrated right now, that revolves around these three deaths, which prompted you to request the judge in this case to provide witness protection. Let's go back to Sean Lucas for a second now, because I've thought more about this, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, because Seth Rich has been kind of the focal point. And I think that's because with Seth Rich, it's, you know, it looks like cold blood murder. You know, the picture that was painted by the media is that, you know, he's basically shot dead in the middle of the street. Now, that's not exactly what happened. It turned out he was shot, and then he was actually still conscious when he was taken to the hospital, and then we have no idea what happened to the hospital or what hospital he went to. You can get into that too. But I'm curious, with Sean Lucas, there hasn't been as much attention with Sean Lucas. What do you think is going on with the, or is there an investigation into the death of Sean Lucas? This is the man that served Debbie Wasserman Schultz in the famous YouTube video. Why do you think there hasn't been much talk or much investigation into Sean Lucas's death?
Well, I'll tell you what we know in terms of facts, and then people can draw their own conclusions. After we received news of Sean Lucas's death, and people have to understand that Sean Lucas was not just the process server in this case, but he, like Seth Rich, was also a sorry, that's my phone. He, like Seth Rich, was a potential witness in the case, because at the time that he was found dead, the defendants were contesting service of process as being valid. And so when that happens, and this is a very, very unusual motion to be seen filed in a lawsuit where the defendant actually contests service of process. But when the defendant files a motion like that, the process server becomes a witness. And so he was not just a process server, but he was also a potential witness in the case at the time he was found dead on his bathroom floor by his girlfriend. And so we got in touch with the DC police, which also had jurisdiction over the inquest into Sean Lucas's death. And what we learned from the DC police after much communication back and forth was that an examination or an autopsy was conducted, although we've never gotten access to the autopsy. We did get access to a summary, I believe, of toxicology that was done as part of whatever autopsy was conducted. But there were 3 different substances found in his body at his autopsy. And I'm not a medical doctor, but we've been told by many people, including people who say that they're doctors and that they have experience with this kind of stuff, and they told us that this is a very unusual combination of substances, and that there is something unusual about this report. But that's all we know about the facts surrounding Sean Lucas's death.
Electrify your day with Secret 12. It's like lightning in a bottle. We all have days in which we just can't seem to perform at the level we'd like to. Infowars Life Secret 12 is designed to naturally energize your body and mind with 2 great tasting and super high quality forms of vitamin B12. Proper vitamin and nutrient intake is essential to keep your body functioning at optimum levels. The reality is, it's hard to take in the proper amount of vitamins we need each day with our modern diets. Secret 12 by Infowars Life is an easy way to naturally upgrade your vitamin B12 intake and support your body's natural systems. It pairs 2 forms of vitamin B12 into 1 explosive formula. Vitamin B12 supports healthy energy levels through red blood cell formation and aiding in the body's natural processes, but it also assists with many other functions of the body. Electrify your mind and body and take your health to the next level. Experience the power of Secret 12 at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com.
Vitamin Mineral Fusion. Visit InfoWarsLife.com to secure your canister. We have worked for years with our chemists and scientists to create the most powerful and affordable, great-tasting multivitamin formula available. Vitamin Mineral Fusion Drink Mix at InfoWarsLife.com is loaded with a full month's supply of essential vitamins, minerals, and amino acids that your body absolutely needs. In the history of InfoWars Life, we've brought out a lot of amazing products like Survival Shield X2, Super Male Vitality, and so many others. With its unique delivery system and proprietary manufacturing process designed for maximized effects, this formula is the platinum standard of multivitamin mineral products. And this part is most important. The ingredients in Vitamin Mineral Fusion are either plant-derived or of the highest quality lab standard. That means it's clean. That means it's pure. And rest assured, you're fighting the tip of the spear in the info war. That's InfoWarsLife.com and Vitamin Mineral Fusion. Take action now before we sell out. We have the new product at InfoWarsLife.com, BioTrue Selenium.
We've had so many requests over the years for selenium, and just recently, we were able to source a certified organic, bioavailable selenium from mustard seed extract. When you take selenium in the body, it actually benefits the detoxification systems in your body. It helps balance the thyroid gland. It helps detoxify.
Selenium is another one of those absolute must-haves.
The highest concentration of selenium is in the thyroid gland, but it's actually used all over the body. As a matter of fact, there's 25 genes in the body that are directly dependent upon selenium. So it really is a all-around nutrient that everybody really needs.
I'm taking it now every day. This is so key. BioTrue Selenium is the product, the best selenium that we could bring you. We believe it's the best out there at a very, very low price. Exclusively available at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139. We're selling a product, DNA Force, that is the very best nutraceutical that we can produce. Dr. Group, you took years for you to develop DNA Force for us.
It's been something that I've been working on for a long time, Alex, because I think it's very, very important. What the aging process is when the cell replicates, we lose a little bit of our telomeres. Telomeres are the little cups on the end of our chromosomes.
And when it runs out, you start dying.
We chose the PQQ because it has over 175 different clinical trials. It's one of the most effective substances in the world. It works like an antioxidant. It works to repair nerve growth factor.
So this is a formula to deliver the maximum amount. It's in powder form.
We have so many 5-star reviews. I take this. This is the product that I take.
InfoWarsLife.com, and the profit we make, We fight the globals. We fight the New World Order. Secure your DNA force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139.
I'm now joined by Paul Nehlen, who's going to be running against Paul Ryan, the swamp, if you will, of the GOP. Paul, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me on. Great to be on.
Well, this is your first time here with Infowars. I'm sure a lot of people know who you are by now. You've been pretty prevalent on Twitter at P. Nehlen. But talk about yourself real quick. What got you into politics? Why are you planning on running against Paul Ryan in Wisconsin's 1st District?
I'm a manufacturing guy. I started out in a factory at 18 years old. I eventually ran that factory, got my engineering degree at night. I've run factories all around the United States and all around the globe. I was in charge of Europe, the Middle East, and Africa for a Fortune 500. And when I heard that Speaker Ryan was pushing this Trans-Pacific Partnership, I couldn't believe it. He was my representative here in Wisconsin, and I reached out to him, and I reached out to Governor Walker, in fact, and said, hey, we can't do this. This is crazy, you guys. And he wasn't relenting. He was working to fast track that legislation. And I said to myself, well, I'm pretty sure I'm going to end up supporting whoever it is that runs against Speaker Ryan. But months and months started moving by. That was early 2015. And nobody stepped up to run. And eventually I said to myself, I'm going to have to do this myself. I'm going to have to run against Speaker Ryan. I'd never run for office in my life before. And so I reached out and to see if I could develop a network of people who would support me. And lo and behold, I found out I could. So in 4 months, between April and August of 2016, we were able to get Ryan to go on CNN and tell Mani Raju that Trans-Pacific Partnership was poorly negotiated. It was a bad deal. It needed to be renegotiated. And it was shocking, actually, for him to go on and say that, because the legislation had been negotiated for over 5 years, over half a decade. It was in a locked bunker, and he knew what was in that legislation, and he was disingenuous. He said the Obama administration and Hillary Clinton did a poor job of negotiating it, and that was a bald-faced lie. And he even went on further to say that Fast Track gave Congress the ability to negotiate the trade deal. And that was a lie, because the United States Trade Representative had already been negotiating it for over half a decade. And what Fast Track did was it essentially said this is going to be an up or down vote. Congress doesn't get to change it. They just get to vote yes or vote no. And so I was strongly against Trans-Pacific Partnership and strongly for securing America's borders. And the only candidate who matched up with me, you can see I got his sign right behind me, right? He's the only guy, the only one who was talking that same thing. And the first Monday in office, President Trump signed us out of Trans-Pacific Partnership. God bless him.
Well, and I'm hoping that Donald Trump creates Paul Nehlens all over America. I'd love to see more people like you. Hey, if you want the job done right, do it yourself. I think that that's kind of your approach to this whole thing. And, getting back to Paul Ryan real quick, this is a guy to me that is soft as butter. Okay, he is not hardcore on any of Donald Trump's policies. He's been very wish-washy with the Affordable Care Act, the border wall, et cetera, et cetera. But obviously you going up against Paul Ryan, you're going to get a lot from the GOP. I'm just curious, what have inter-party members, what has the response been from the GOP with your campaign?
Oh, they absolutely have their knives out for me. They're not interested in me challenging Ryan at all. They want Ryan to skate along and do whatever he wants, because he brings back millions of dollars to Wisconsin. He spent $10.6 million against me, against a guy who's never run before. He spent $10.6 million. That's a huge amount of money. It's essentially 10 times what anybody will spend in any normal race. I mean, this last Karen Handel and John Ossoff race was absolutely out of the even realm of normalcy. But look, Speaker Ryan spends that $10.6 million here in the district for it. He gets positive press coverage. There is no negative articles written about Ryan in this district, unless it's written by a Democrat. And this is an R+3 district. So the Democrats really, they're not going to win this district. Not going against Paul Ryan. So it's incumbent on me to run in a primary against Speaker Ryan and beat him, because that is the only way we are going to get a true conservative, true patriot in office here in Wisconsin. He promised us a repeal vote on Obamacare, and we didn't get one. And he didn't hold the vote because the conservatives were going to vote for it. Jim Jordan said on the radio, I heard him, that they had a bill ready to go to Trump's desk, and all of a sudden Ryan shows up with this Ryan Care 1.0 nonsense, and they were shocked. The Freedom Caucus was shocked by that. And so Ryan then told President Trump, I don't want to have a vote. Why? We don't have the votes. Why should we have a vote? Well, the answer is so that America can see who are the squishes, who are those who say they're Republicans, they're for smaller government, they're for free enterprise and real free trade, not these fake free trade deals like we get with Trans-Pacific Partnership or this ridiculous border adjustment tax that we just defeated yesterday, I might add. Speaker Ryan did not have a vote. We're paying for everything that Obama had in place in the 2015 omnibus when Ryan came into office. We're still funding all those things. We're funding sanctuary cities. We're funding the dangerous refugee resettlement. I mean, if you go, look, if you're tired of Speaker Ryan, go to my website, Elect Nehlen, Nehlen, go to electnehlen.com. Paul Ryan has so many people maxing out to his campaign, $2,700.
And let's be clear, too. You tweeted this. Most of his money, 99%, comes from outside of the district.
Isn't that shocking? I mean,
I'm not shocked by it, but it should be shocking, yes.
Yeah, well, you would think that the local news media would say, well, wait a minute. He's not really representing workers in Wisconsin. He's representing these big special interests. The vast majority of his money came from inside the DC Beltway, like 1.3 million. That's right. And then right behind that is New York, Chicago, Houston, LA. That's not representative of Wisconsin's first district. We've got Racine and Kenosha in the east, small cities outside of Milwaukee.
And then we've got city, Racine, Wisconsin. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's absolutely fabulous. I ran one of SPX's flagship businesses here out of Delavan. Almost 500.
Another great city. Great lake cities up there in Wisconsin.
Yeah, I live right outside of Geneva Lake here in Williams Bay. It's beautiful here, and a lot of farming, a lot of good manufacturing here. And Speaker Ryan is all about bringing in labor from low-cost countries. He is all about these visas, these H-1B, H-2B, H-4 visas. I just heard today that Kelly over at DHS is gonna overrun the cap on the H visas. It's absurd. We do not need inferior foreign labor replacing Americans in their job. And that's exactly what Speaker Ryan is doing. He is replacing Americans with foreign workers because they're cheap. That's why. That's the only reason. And that's what his donors are paying for. So you look at a guy who raised $18 million, almost $19 million, and 226,000 of it came from inside this district. I put $100,000 of my own money into my campaign last cycle. And you know, my campaign didn't pay that all back to me. They still owe me the vast majority of it. I consider that a down payment on this run. So Speaker Ryan put $0 in his own campaign, $0 of his own money. I put I'm not a rich man. I'm not Donald Trump. As I said, I started out in a factory when I was 18 years old. I put that money in there because That had to be done.
Well, that's because you're running for America. Paul Nehlen is running for America, folks, and this is how we drain the swamp. You want to drain the swamp, the onus falls on us to win in the midterm elections coming up in 2018. Getting Speaker Ryan out and Paul Nehlen in is one of the ways to drain the swamp.
Alex Jones here with a very important news update to anybody out there that wants to be prepared. But it goes beyond being prepared. Our bodies absolutely must have the good halogen iodine or we will die. And you look at all of the thyroid problems and all the people that don't have energy and that have all sorts of hormone problems. And from my research, and a lot of just mainline research, it leads back to iodine over and over and over again. It's as important as vitamin C. If you don't get iodine, you die. But most people are just deficient, so they're low energy, they're sick. You got to have iodine in your body so that your body can produce the hormones you need. It is the base to so many things. And since I got into iodine 4 years ago, we've helped change the entire paradigm by developing and bringing to the public deep earth crystals from 7,000 to 12,000 feet of the purest iodine available. Other iodine comes from the ocean or from other byproducts of chemical facilities and is tainted. It's bound. It's not absorbable. I tried it. And I had incredible effects even with dirty iodine because the body needs it. When you don't have iodine, it absorbs the chlorine, the fluoride, and all these other bad halogens. Do yourself and your family a favor and check out the importance of iodine for yourself. I think you're going to be blown away. And whatever you do, support the broadcast and get a bottle of Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2. Also consult your physician because if you've been deficient in it or have other issues, it can have some dramatic effects. As for me and most folks I talk to, it's been a game changer in the positive column, but still consult your physician because iodine is no joke. It's a key building block of the body. And if you haven't had it for a long time and suddenly have it, some folks say they've experienced things like a detoxing effect and things like that. You've got to have vitamin C. You've got to have iodine to live. You got to have water to live. Iodine is key. You must have it, but consult your physician first before you get powerful Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2 at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll free. We can answer your questions. 888-253-3139.
America. Truly, the District of Criminals has completely lost any semblance of protecting our republic. Town Hall writes in a bizarre story, the Associated Press's write-up of yesterday's FBI press conference makes clear that everyone involved agrees that deceased shooter James Hodgkinson detested Republicans with a fiery passion. Yet investigators seem unwilling to call his attack premeditated or specifically targeted. At this point in the investigation, it appears more spontaneous, FBI agent Slater said. Hodgkinson had a piece of paper with the names of 6 members of Congress written on it, Slater also said, but the note lacked any further context and there was no evidence from his computer, phone, or other belongings that indicated he planned to target those officials. He also took pictures of the baseball field where he would later fire more than 60 shots. The FBI does not believe these photographs represented surveillance of intended targets, the FBI said in a statement. Hodgkins had pictures of the ball field and a list of Congress members' names and had asked whether or not they were Democrats or Republicans. And now, after Jay Johnson's testimony finally puts the Russia-Trump election hysteria to bed, as the New York Post reported, Johnson told the House Intelligence Committee outright that the Russians failed to alter ballots, ballot counts, or reporting of election results. Yes, it's clear Russia, with Vladimir Putin's full approval, orchestrated cyber attacks designed to influence the 2016 contest and also push fake news, but the hack and release via WikiLeaks, etc. of Democratic emails produced nothing game-changing. The biggest impact was to confirm the obvious. The Democratic National Committee favored Hillary Clinton from the start.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president? I want to clarify, I'm not an actor. I lie for a living. However, it's been a while.
Hollywood. Have you ever heard of 18 U.S. Code 871? It reads, whoever knowingly and willfully deposits for conveyance in the mail or for a delivery from any post office or by any letter carrier any letter, paper, writing, print, missive, or document containing any threat to take the life of, to kidnap, or to inflict bodily harm upon the President of the United States, the Vice President, or any other officer in succession of the office of the President of the United States, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 5 years or both.
Now, here is Michael Hastings' wife. Remember his car, it blew up going on the road? Joe Biggs was at the funeral. She said, I'm going to get these bastards. They killed him. But then when she went on Piers Morgan, she said, oh, nothing happened. It was totally normal. And now she's saying the president's like a suicide bomber, and he doesn't ever keep his word. No, that's why they're mad, is because he's really keeping his word on almost every agenda.
You know, my advice would just be to Republicans who do cozy up to him, it's just like hugging a suicide bomber. He blows you up in the process with him.
It's like hugging us. That's a little strong, Elise.
Yeah, I mean, this is not, I mean, look at what, if you go out on a limb, if you're a Republican who went out on a limb and defended Donald Trump over saying, well, he's got tapes that are going to back up his point of view, you just got blown up too.
What we are witnessing is a textbook coup d'etat of our executive office in action, overseen by former President Barack Obama and the moles still operating all over Washington, D.C. Your president and his cabinet, whether you support them or not, are under an imminent threat by Democrats and Republicans in the black budgeted deep state our tax dollars support. The legal recourse and peaceful grievance of the American people are the only force standing in the way of the inevitable. This country was born from revolution. The deep state and their pawns have no idea what a real revolution looks like. Drain the swamp before it's too late. By the way, Johnny Depp, your portrayal of Hunter S. Thompson was incredibly weak, and Bill Murray nailed it. John Bound for Infowars.com.
You know, we hear a lot of people talking about how there's a deep state coup going against Donald Trump, and that's very true. We had another person come out today, David Stockman, former manager of the budget under Ronald Reagan, came out and made the point very clearly. But I want to go back to what is the real government. Remember when Donald Trump fired James Comey? We immediately had the establishment, the D.C. empire, I like to call them, the politicians, the press, and the bureaucracy scream coup. Well, Comey wasn't president. He worked for the president. If you look at the org chart, if you understand how it's supposed to be organized, but they understand, they see themselves as the permanent entrenched bureaucracy. And, you know, when we have the Oliver Stone series on Vladimir Putin, one of the articles that came out this last weekend from Vox, they said it was really pretty revelatory what he had to say. At the time, this was recorded over a couple of years, at the time, Bernie Sanders was running for president. Of course, Oliver Stone was a big fan of Bernie Sanders. So he asks Vladimir Putin, what if Bernie Sanders wins? What do you think about him? They said Stone was trying to get Putin to say whether or not he liked Bernie Sanders. Putin demurred entirely, but he offered up a theory of how power functions. And this is very appropriate for what is happening today. This is what Putin said. He said, should Sanders become president, he would suddenly realize the vast weight of the American bureaucracy that existed underneath him. He might make some changes to the U.S. on a domestic level, but he would ultimately be unable to change that much. The person at the head of the state matters less than the centuries of power the state has accumulated and will protect at all costs. Let me repeat that. The person who is at the top matters less than all of that accumulated power that the state, and by that he means the permanent entrenched bureaucracy that remains there regardless of who gets elected by you. So when they say it was a coup when one of the most powerful of the bureaucracy was fired by the guy who just was merely the president elected by the American people, to them that was a coup against the real power, against the real state. Everybody understands that who's watched politics very long. We have more people talking about this at this point in time. You know, the establishment press, the deep state, the DC empire is really like the Byzantine Empire, the Byzantine bureaucracy. You know, it was heralded by having extremely complex and intricate regulations. We talk about something with its Byzantine complexity or so forth. But there was also a deceitful, devious, stealthy application of those laws. And that's precisely what we have. When Nancy Pelosi says we'll have to pass it to find out what's in it, that's what she meant. We're going to create a bureaucracy, and they're going to decide how healthcare is really going to operate. And that's precisely what they did. But today we had David Stockman join in, and he said a great coup is on the way. He says the president has the power to declassify secret documents at will, but in this instance, he could also do that without compromising the intelligence community. He said that's because after the Snowden leak, the whole world knows, it's an open secret, that they collect every single electronic digit that passes through the World Wide Web. So he says if he were to do this, it would not compromise the lives of anybody who's an American spy, any human intelligence. He said it would just document the unconstitutional interference in the election process that has been committed by the U.S. intelligence agencies and political operatives in the Obama White House. And that is the key story, folks. We have to understand that, yes, they are acting offensively, trying to do a counter coup in their eyes and take out Donald Trump. But this has been defensive from the very beginning. This has been to defend themselves against their crimes. And we've had Senator Grassley, we've had Senator Paul and others point out that the real story here is how the intelligence community, how the law enforcement bureaucracy has become politicized. They have become Watergate burglars. Back in 1972, 44 years prior to all this happening, we only had 5 Watergate burglars. Now we've got 17 intelligence agencies that are operating at the behest and for the benefit of the Obama administration. These kinds of crimes that they've committed are things like illegal surveillance and unmasking. The FISA court has called them out on that. They've declassified that. Obstruction of justice, and that includes people like FBI's Comey, Department of Justice Loretta Lynch, Attorney General. Breaking into state computers. Jay Johnson and Homeland Security did that. It was not the Russians. They're creating this narrative to protect themselves against prosecution. These people are the Watergate burglars, and they are involved in cover-up as well as perjury. That is the offensive that Donald Trump needs to take. We need to understand that that is something that he can do. And unless he does that, if he keeps playing this game of tweeting out, they will take him down. He has the power to stop it. That's it for tonight's Infowars Nightly News. Thank you for joining us. Join us on Monday at 7 Central, 8 p.m. Eastern.
I am very proud to announce the introduction of the highest quality Infowars Biome Defense Probiotic. We wanted to come out with the largest spectrum of high quality known probiotics that have been proven to improve overall digestion and health and detoxification in the body. Biome Defense is an exclusive blend of 50 billion live and active cultures from over 23 different probiotic strains that are known to support digestion and intestinal function. Our researchers are confident that we have been able to develop what will be the leading probiotic on the market. Secure your Biome Defense in ultra strength or regular strength at InfoWarsLife.com today and get started supporting your digestive system naturally. We've been testing this formula for years, but this is the limited first run to the public, so please take advantage of it today. Support your own health and support the InfoWar.